Hello and welcome folks to a new video. This is the second in my series of making a line following robot. So in this video we're going to go through making the chassis and assembling all the basic prototype electronics and getting our first little movements out of the robot. So with all that said, let's jump straight in. Okay, let's have a quick look at the little bot that I have modeled up here. So it's a very simple design that I've thrown together here. We've got a couple of wheels modeled, we've got some motors modeled. I have my sensor bracket from the last video, and I've got some little clamps that are going to hold that in place, and I've got the main chassis modeled, as well as a little idler wheel that's going to go on the back, and a little spacer which ends up making it all run nice and evenly on the one plane. So that's it. It's pretty simple. It's not a huge amount going on with this. If I take away some of the components, I'll have a look. So if I take away the wheels, the little idler, and the motors, and the little sensor module, where is that sensor? And these are all the printed parts. So pretty simple. We have these little clamp things that'll screw down onto the chassis. We have the chassis itself, which is just a flat plate with these two uprights where the motors can screw on. And then at the very back here, we've got a little spacer thing which will just bolt straight through. And I've just realized that I'm actually missing some holes here, which they're going to bolt through too. But yeah, that's about it. Like, the design is super simple. You notice that I have this kind of empty space in the middle here, and that is going to be the space where all the electronics will go. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze in the middle here. I've measured it up, so there should be enough space for everything. But yeah, it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze to fit it all in here. I probably won't do any mounting holes. I was going to, but I think I'll probably just design a little circuit board and just plop the whole thing in with some hot glue, and yeah, that'll do. I think same for this. It's designed to be quite a tight fit, and if it is a little bit loose, I'll probably just put a dab of glue on it as well to hold it in place and then screw it down. So this module will be removable. The main thing that I have that's going to be a little bit so actually there's a good view for you. There's a side view, so you can see where the little base of the idler wheel and the main wheels make a nice flat path, and you can see we have a little gap between here and where the platform where the surface will be that'll run on. So that's our sort of our gap for the sensor module. Now I've totally guessed that, more or less, so we'll see what that's actually like in practice. It might be that this is too far away from the surface for the sensor to work properly, or it could be that it's too close. So I'm not really sure, but the whole idea of designing these little mounts as their own separate components from the chassis is that I can tweak this thing, and I can move it down, so I can move the whole sensor array closer to the surface this can be running on, or I can pull it further away. So yeah, that's kind of the only real concern that I would have about the design. Everything else should be fine. The little idler wheel and the main wheels, they'll line up fine. They should be grand. And then just having enough space for the electronics is the only other thing. Shouldn't be a problem. I can just hot glue things down and make it work, and it will work. I have a little bit of room at the back here for a small battery that's going to drive it. That's only a teeny tiny little battery anyway, so yeah, not going to be any issues there, I don't think. So yeah, that's about it for the 3D design of this guy. Next step, I gotta print some parts and do a little assembly just to do some testing, and then I gotta make some electronics, and then I gotta make the whole thing work. So that's gonna be next. We're gonna do some printing, we're gonna do some assembly, and we're gonna do some testing. So that's coming up next. All right, so I got a pile of parts here. So let's do some assembly to give us a little rolling chassis, and then let's see where we go from there. Okay, so this is our little chassis assembled. Very simple, only very few parts. A little spacer, a little idler wheel, motors mounted on the sides there, and little supports on the front here, which hold the sensor in place, and that's held kind of just off the surface here. So you can't see it from this angle, but I'll give you a different angle. You'll be able to see it in a second. So yeah, next part of mechanical stuff is getting all the electronics on. So these are the main parts of the electronics. So we're gonna have sort of a main board that'll house the power switch, the microcontroller, then I'll have the motor driver and the battery. So I gotta find a way to get all this onto here. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly how I'll do it. Maybe something like this, and yeah, I don't know, this and this maybe, or the battery might be able to go underneath. Yeah, the battery can probably go underneath actually, and with the wire coming up. Yeah, I'll figure it out. It's not going to be the most difficult thing in the world to solve, but yeah, I'm just going to use some of this 3M Velcro stuff that sticks to itself. Like, I think it's called hook and hook as opposed to hook and loop. So yeah, I'll just cut little bits of this and basically Velcro these guys down onto the chassis. Could have come up with mounting holes and all that sort of stuff, but I kind of wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to lay it out, and yeah, so I figured that just, you know, double-sided tape or, you know, hook and hook stuff will do as good a job. And this board I will probably replace with a little PCB at some point, but for now I'm just going to leave it as a little piece of proto board just while I wire everything up and make sure it all works. So yeah, next step, I have to just arrange all these electronics, mount them down to the board, and make sure I can get power to it, make sure it all works, power wise and all that sort of stuff. Then I got to code it and make sure I can actually get it to follow a line, which would be that'll be the main part of it. Not sure if I'll make the PCB before I do that part or not. Maybe not. I might just make the prototype one and then make the PCB. I might not even make a PCB. We'll see. Anyway, next step, mounting all these electronics and wiring up a little temporary board here. Maybe a final board. Anyway, let's see. Let's go and do that anyway. Alright, so we have our finished prototype here. So we got everything mounted down. I used Velcro stick, as I said. I have my little prototype board here made up, which is kind of cool. It's the first time I've used my little modular power supply and my own dev board, which made quite nice. The little on-off switch works well. Battery, little small LiPo battery mounted underneath, and the sensor on the front there. And it all works. Wired it up and have it working. So turn it on. Doesn't do much yet, but woo! Spins around in circles, which is good. That's all I was trying to get to this point. So basically I know that electrically and mechanically it works. We also have our little light sensors on the front there working. That's where I wanted to get to. So right now I know I have a little platform that works. The electrics work. The mechanics all work. One thing I'm not super happy about is it tilts this way a little bit. So this is slightly too high at the back. But that's why I did make this modular. So I made this little offset thing. So I might print a slightly smaller one so that it'll sit down a little bit more, which means that this should be more level. Right now they're kind of pushed down into the surface. They don't touch it, but they're close, and they're kind of at an angle. Might not make a difference. If I don't need to, I might not reprint the piece, but we'll see as I test it. So yeah, that's most of this done pretty much. I might do a couple of things. I might remake this sensor board because it's kind of a bit janky, and also I may remake this. I might make a little PCB for this, and then I might make this a PCB as well, just to make it all a bit neater, because it's a bit messy with all the wires. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and tune it up and make it all work first, and then I might make the PCBs afterwards. So yeah, that's the next step, is to program it and make it actually follow a line, which is exciting. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are. This one, not a huge amount of detail on this, but pretty happy to get this all where it is. So yeah, that's the next thing to do. Write some code and make sure I can make it follow a line. But for now, we're going to leave this here for this video. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.